Hello everyone, this is Hima Halani. Once again, welcome you all on this platform, your mentor and guide. In the previous videos, we discussed all the tips and techniques of solving para-summary questions, para-completion questions, and para-jumble questions. And today we have picked 5 questions out of 8 questions of verbal ability. And today we are going to solve all those questions. जो हमने लास्ट टाइम स्टूडेंट्स का फीडबैक लिया था अबाउट कैट 2024 हाउ वाज द पेपर सो दे टोल्ड अस दैट यस द डिफिकल्टी लेवल ऑफ द पेपर वाज मॉडरेट मींस मेनी क्वेश्चंस वर देयर दोस वर डूएबल. तो आज हम हमारे सेशन में यही देखने वाले हैं कि जो हम 5 क्वेश्चन हमने पिक करे हैं whether they were actually doable or not. So let's see, and today we are going to follow all the PYQ techniques in order to arrive at the right answer. So let's get started and together we make it happen. Theodore Roosevelt, believe you can and you are halfway there. बेटा जैसा कि आप देख सकते हो, we have only 6 months in our hand now, okay? And 6 months are more than enough, provided the condition that you should have the right kind of attitude, right? So अब आप देखिए कि if you started believing in yourself, then I think you are already halfway there. You have already won the half of the battle, all right? और जब आपको अपने आप को कॉन्फिडेंस आने लग जाता है, तो ट्रस्ट मी आपके अंदर स्ट्रेंथ और ऑलरेडी एक कॉन्फिडेंस आ जाता है to keep going. So let's start with question number 1, which is of para completion or sentence insertion question. Okay, so let us read the instruction first, and please do not forget to read the instruction in examination also. यहाँ पर मैं आपको एक टिप देना चाहूंगी कि नॉर्मली स्टूडेंट्स क्या करते हैं, दे स्टार्ट सॉल्विंग द क्वेश्चंस, ओके, विदाउट रीडिंग द डायरेक्शंस और द इंस्ट्रक्शंस. सो व्हेन आई आस्क देम टू रीड द क्वेश्चन फर्स्ट, दे टेल मी मैम इट्स अ वेस्ट ऑफ टाइम. बट नो, इट इज नॉट द वेस्टेज ऑफ टाइम, इट इज द इन्वेस्टमेंट ऑफ टाइम. क्योंकि बेटा अगर आप कुछ क्वेश्चन को बिना पढ़े ही क्वेश्चन सॉल्व करना स्टार्ट कर देते हैं, तो माइट बी पॉसिबल वो आपसे पूछ कुछ और रहा है, आप कुछ वे में आंसर कर रहे हैं, तो ऑब्वियसली आपको एक बार डायरेक्शन जरूर रीड कर लेना चाहिए. ऑलराइट, so there is a sentence that is missing in the paragraph below. Look at the paragraph and decide whether option 1, 2, 3, 4 of the following sentence would best fit. तो इसका मतलब क्या समझ रहे हैं? Now this is the paragraph. Okay, as you can see there are 4 brackets, bracket 1, bracket 2, bracket 3 and bracket 4. और जो ये सेंटेंस यहाँ पर दिया हुआ है, this is actually the missing sentence which is the part of this paragraph. आपको ये देखना है that in which bracket this particular sentence will fit. Okay, अब इसके लिए हमने टेक्निक्स देखे थे, टिप्स देखे थे, तो वी आर गोइंग टू अप्लाई द सेम टेक्निक्स ओवर हियर एंड लेट अस सॉल्व द क्वेश्चन. लेट्स सी कि इसमें हमको मतलब प्रॉब्लम आ रही है या नहीं आ रही है, या मे बी I wanted to go for the right answer but something was there which I was missing over there. So now let's see this particular question. Okay, now comprehending a wide range of emotions, Renaissance music nevertheless portrayed all emotions in a balanced and moderate fashion. Now in this sentence you can see we are talking about the Renaissance music, right? Paragraph, it starts this way. A volume of translated Italian madrigals were published in London during the year of 1588. Here we are talking about the kind of Italian music. Madrigal is basically a music, and Italian madrigals means Italian music. This sudden public interest facilitated a surge of English madrigal writing as well as a spurt of other secular music writing and publication. Now, beta, in this particular lines, we are basically talking about the boom of music. Okay, this music boom lasted for 30 years, and this tells us about the duration of this particular music, and was as much a golden age of music as British literature was with Shakespeare and Queen Elizabeth. So this particular duration of the music boom has been compared to the golden age of these poets or writers. The rebirth in both literature and music originated in Italy and migrated to England. Now here the word is rebirth. Rebirth means revival, and Renaissance was the period of revival of the art in the 14th century. Originated in Italy and migrated to England. The English madrigal became more humorous and lighter in England as compared to Italy. So here the comparison point has been given. Here we are talking about the origin of Renaissance, alright, because of the word rebirth. Renaissance music was mostly polyphonic in texture. अब आप देख सकते हैं, in these 2 lines we are talking about the origin of Renaissance period, and here we are talking about the characteristic of Renaissance. Okay, and what is the first characteristic of Renaissance? That it is polyphonic in texture. Clear? In this statement, the sentence given after bracket 3 extreme use of and contrast in dynamics, rhythm and tone color do not occur. It means यहाँ पर this is the another characteristic where the author is talking about the extreme contrast, absence of extreme contrast. This is another feature, another characteristic of Renaissance. The rhythms in Renaissance music tend to have a smooth, soft flow instead of a sharp, well-defined pulse of accents. All right, and here we are talking about the soft rhythms of the music. Clear? So now I cannot keep this particular sentence in bracket 1. The reason is here we are talking about the spurt of music, and here also we are talking about the music boom. Okay, so spurt and boom is one and the same thing. So if I keep this particular sentence in bracket 1, it is going to disturb the logical flow of this particular paragraph. So it cannot come in bracket 1. So this is eliminated. Now, here we are talking about the origin of Renaissance. So how can you keep this sentence in bracket 2? Because in this sentence, we are talking about the Renaissance that has maintained the balance and the moderate fashion. Okay, so it means they were Renaissance period was very, very balanced, and obviously there was absence of contrast, which is given in the next line over here. So I cannot keep it in bracket 2 as well, because here we are talking about the origin. So after talking about the origin of this particular period, we are going to keep this sentence. Okay, so again we cannot keep this sentence in bracket 2. Now, as you can see, now we are left with only bracket 3 and bracket 4. A sentence before bracket 3 talks about one particular feature of Renaissance. This also talks about the characteristic, and this also talks about the characteristic. Okay. Now, in this sentence, music nevertheless portrayed all emotions in a balanced and moderate fashion. And this is basically the justification of this particular part. क्योंकि वो balanced fashion में है, therefore there is the absence of extreme or the contrast. Extreme contrast. There is an absence of extreme contrast. Okay. So rather than keeping this sentence in bracket 4, I think we should keep it in bracket 3, and that is going to maintain the flow of the paragraph. All right. So the answer is D, which is option 3. Got it? So हमने यहाँ पर क्या observe किया है? First thing, it is talking about the spurt, it is talking about the boom. In these two lines, we are not talking about the Renaissance. Therefore, we cannot keep it in bracket 1. Now here we're talking about the origin, and before talking about the origin, I cannot talk about Renaissance. Therefore, bracket 2 cannot be the answer again. And here we are talking about the balance and moderate fashion. Therefore, there is an extreme absence of extreme contrast. So this will fit over here very well. All right, clear? Let us move on to another question. Para completion question. Sentences. Understanding Central Asia's role helps developments make more sense not only across Asia but in Europe, the Americas, and Africa. Okay. So here we can say in this statement we are talking about the role of Asia, right? Role of Asia in the global affairs. Okay. So the nations of the Silk Roads are sometimes called developing countries. It means this sentence basically emphasizes the misconception of the countries along the Silk Roads that they are describing themselves as developing. But they are actually some of the world's most highly developed countries. So वो सिर्फ developing countries नहीं थे, in fact they were the developed countries. The very crossroads of civilization and advanced states of disrepair. These countries lie. Now can you see these over here? And these is what? It's a demonstrative pronoun. And they are also saying these countries. So basically these countries here stands for the nations. Clear? So if I keep this sentence in bracket 1, don't you think again it is going to disturb the flow of the paragraph again, because I cannot keep this sentence over here, okay? Because these stands for nations. Clear? These countries lie at the center of global affairs. They have since the beginning of history. तो यहाँ पर हम बात कर रहे हैं कि जो ये कंट्री है इनका जो एक्चुअल रोल किसमें है, पूरा ग्लोबल अफेयर्स में इनका बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट रोल है, एंड दैट टू थ्रू आउट द हिस्ट्री. Running across the spine of Asia, they form a web of connections. बेटा यहाँ पर जो दे आ रहा है, they basically here stands for Silk Roads. Okay? तो Silk Road से they form a web of connections, fanning out in every direction, हर direction में जा रहा है. Routes along which pilgrims and warriors, nomads and merchants carried not only have traveled, goods and produce have been bought and sold, and ideas exchanged, adapted and refined. So basically, these three lines are showing that the importance and the role of the Silk Roads, okay, where the exchange of ideas took place, okay, the goods were bought and they were sold through this particular road. They have carried not only prosperity but also death and violence, disease and disaster. So this is also one of the roles of Silk Roads. So this is the first role, this is the second role, and in both the sentences we are talking about the central role of Silk Roads. The Silk Roads are the world's central nervous system connecting otherwise far from peoples and places. Now in this sentence, the Silk Roads have been compared to the nervous system, okay? और सिल्क रोड ने यहाँ पर क्या किया था, बेसिकली इट वर्क एज द कनेक्टिंग द पीपल फ्रॉम अक्रॉस द वर्ल्ड. It allows us to see patterns and links, causes and effects that remain visible if one looks only at Europe or North America, right? Now, this is a missing statement. Here we are talking about not only across Asia, but in Europe, Americas and Africa. Clear? So, if you place, already we have discussed, it cannot come in bracket 1. Now, what about bracket 2? Bracket 2, before bracket 2, the sentence given before bracket 2, it talks about the role of Silk Roads, and in this sentence also, we are talking about the role of Silk Roads. Okay, after bracket 2, the sentence also talks about the role of Silk Roads. Okay, now here it's a comparison point, it's a metaphor, and because after discussing all these things that Silk Roads किस तरह से उसने हमको connections provide करे हैं across the country, so उसके बाद अगर आप देखेंगे, it allows us to see patterns and links, causes and effects that remain visible if only looks at Europe and North America. तो यहाँ पर आप देख सकते हो कि वो different countries से connection बनाए हैं उसने, and obviously here we are also talking about the connections globally. So this particular sentence will actually fit in bracket 4. Clear? So the answer is going to be B. I hope things are clear. So यहाँ पर strategy कौन सी काम आई है? Demonstrative pronouns हैं, right? Then obviously we talked about the role of Silk Roads 1, 2 and 3. So if you keep this particular sentence in midst of these 2 or 3 sentences, it is going to not work and it is going to disturb the flow of the paragraph. Third one. It was the easiest of the lot. If I talk about verbal ability part, this was the easiest one. The brain is not organized the way you might set up your home office or bathroom medicine cabinet. In this sentence, the author is comparing the brain. Okay, किससे compare कर रहा है? Basically, home office से. अब compare में similarities भी होती है, dissimilarity भी होती है. पर यहाँ पर वो बोल रहा है कि the way we are organized at home, at office, our brain is not that organized in comparison to office and home. Okay, तो मतलब हमारा brain क्या है? Unorganized है, right? You can't just put things anywhere you want to. अब देखो, the moment I am reading this sentence and bracket 1 is given at the beginning of the paragraph, okay? So obviously यहाँ पर हम ये बोल सकते हैं, you can't just put things anywhere. It means at home, at office, we have to be, very organized, very systematic. तो हम चीजें तो चीजें ही रख सकते हैं, but हमारा brain क्या है? इतना organized नहीं है. तो एक possible answer लग रहा है that it could fit in bracket 1. But then let us consider the other brackets as well. The evolved architecture of the brain is haphazard and disjointed and incorporates multiple systems, each of which has a mind of its own, right? Bracket 2. Evolution doesn't design things and it doesn't build system. It settles on system that's historically conveyed a survival benefit. So here we are talking about some evolution. There is no overarching grand planner engineering the system so that they work harmoniously together. All right. So here we're talking about the evolution. The brain is more like a big and old house with piecemeal renovations done on every floor and less like new construction. Again, this is a comparison point. Now, let us try and understand. Let us eliminate the things. I cannot keep this sentence in bracket 3. The reason? This is also a comparison point. Okay, this is also a metaphor. And this is also a comparison point. This is a simile because like is given. Any which way, both are the comparison points. तो अगर आप इसको immediately यहाँ पर रख देंगे और इसके just बाद ये वाला sentence भी आ रहा है, तो it is not going to make any sense. Okay? तो अब ये आप सब sentence देख रहे हैं, तो basically this is the elaboration of this particular part. But if you keep both these things together, it will not make any sense. So this can be eliminated. So is the case with bracket 4. So if you cannot keep this sentence in bracket 3, which is like preceding this particular sentence, You cannot keep this sentence in bracket 4 as well. Okay, so yes, the answer is going to be 1. Got it? So I think it was very easy, it was doable. So 3 questions of para completion we have discussed, and out of the 3 questions of para completion, I think all 3 were doable. Okay, बेटा यहाँ पर एक और चीज ध्यान रखिएगा कि like when you solve para ability questions, वहां पर आपको 1.5 मिनट से ज्यादा एक पर्टिकुलर क्वेश्चन में नहीं देना है. ओके, एट द मैक्स 2 minutes, बट नॉट मोर देन दैट. द रीजन इज बिकॉज आप जब 2 मिनट से ज्यादा दे देंगे और इन केस योर आंसर गोज रॉन्ग, तो बेसिकली वो आपका वेस्टेज हो जाता है. तो कोशिश कीजिएगा कि आप 2 मिनट्स में अगर आपसे हो पा रहा है, वेल एंड गुड. इफ यू आर नॉट एबल टू सॉल्व इट, जस्ट कम आउट ऑफ इट. ओके, just stop yourself from this temptation of marking the answer whether you are sure or you are unsure. but time waste वहां पर मत कीजिए, उससे आप जल्दी से बाहर आ जाइए. okay, now this is odd one out. So there were last year para symbol questions were not there, they were odd one out questions. In a way, odd one out questions, these are the part of para jumbles only. The only difference is कि para jumbles में we have to make the entire sequence, but in odd one out we have to go for the sentence which is not the part of the paragraph. तो comparatively odd one out के questions थोड़े से easy हो जाते हैं. Okay, so last year students they could take a sigh of relief क्योंकि para jumble के questions नहीं थे, odd one out के questions थे और वो भी इजी थे. ओके, बट स्टिल स्टूडेंट्स को लग रहा कि नहीं मैम थोड़े तो टफ थे, तो देख लेते हैं कि वो एक्चुअली में टफ थे या डूएबल थे. ओके, नाउ these are the 5 sentences. When you read para jumble questions or when you solve para jumble questions, do cultivate the habit of reading all the sentences first. Okay, ताकि सेंटेंस पढ़ने से हमें समझ में आ जाता है that what is the tone of the author. Animals have an interest in fulfilling their basic needs, but also in avoiding suffering, and thus we ought to extend moral consideration. Singer viewed himself as a utilitarian and presents a direct moral theory concerning animal rights in contrast to indirect positions such as welfareist views. तो यहाँ पर सिंगर किसमें बिलीव करता था? That he believed in this particular moral theory concerning the animal rights. So animal के rights क्या थे? That obviously they should be given certain moral consideration. He argued for extending moral consideration to animals because similar to humans, animals have certain significant interest. Again, now they have been compared to humans. तो जिस तरह से ह्यूमन के पर्टिकुलर इंटरेस्ट होते हैं, वैसे ही एनिमल्स के भी कुछ सिग्निफिकेंट इंटरेस्ट होते हैं. ऑलराइट, द इवेंट दैट पब्लिकली अनाउंस्ड एनिमल राइट्स एज अ लेजिटिमेट इश्यू विद इन कंटेम्परेरी फिलॉसफी वाज पीटर सिंजर्स एनिमल लिबरेशन टेक्स्ट इन 1975. As such, we ought to view their interest alongside and equal to human interest, which results in humans having direct moral duties towards animals. After reading all these sentences, I can figure out that author is talking about animals, their interest, humans, their interest, comparison point is there, and obviously human beings, they have certain moral duty towards animals. Itna humko samajh mein aa raha hai, right? And one more thing over here, now there are 2 strategies that can work over here. First, demonstrative pronoun, personal pronoun, and second is complete and partial name if you are able to recall. Okay, now here you see Peter Singers is a complete name, and here it's a partial name. So this is for sure that this sentence will come first. Okay, so this is going to be the part of the paragraph. This is also going to be the part of the paragraph because this is a singer, this is also singer, and he here stands for this person only. Okay, so 2, 3, and 4, these are going to be the part of the paragraph. Clear? And still, if you want, we can go with the flow of these 3 sentences. He announced animal rights as a legitimate issue within contemporary philosophy. Animal rights. Here we are also talking about the animal rights in contrast to the welfareist views. 2 viewpoints are given. And then he argued that we need to extend moral duties, moral consideration towards animals because they also have particular interest. All right. So now, after keeping these 3 sentences together, I am left with 1 and the 5th one. So I just have to see whether it is going to be the first or the 4th one as a part of the paragraph, and which is going to be the odd one out. So basically, जब स्टूडेंट से हमने इसके बारे में पूछा, इस क्वेश्चन के बारे में, तो स्टूडेंट्स भी यही बोले थे कि फर्स्ट और 5th में दे वर एक्चुअली कंफ्यूज. उनको ऐसा लग रहा था कि बोथ द सेंटेंसेस आई मीन कैन बी द पार्ट ऑफ द पैराग्राफ, बट देन व्हिच वन टू एलिमिनेट एज द ऑड वन आउट. तो अब देख लेते हैं कि what should be the right strategy to go for the answer. In the entire this particular paragraph or maybe para jumble questions, we discussed about animals, humans, their interest and the moral duty towards animals. It means if I end something, then animal, human, they both should be there, okay, because we have drawn the comparison. Animals have an interest in fulfilling their basic needs. Animals have an interest, okay. So here, don't you think that by talking about animals, we are being little generic, okay? Basic needs, but also in avoiding suffering, and thus we ought to extend moral consideration. So we are simply talking about the animals over here in a generic way, okay. This is a general statement, but in this sentence as such, we ought to view their interest alongside what? Humans' interest, and equal to human interest, which results in humans having direct moral duties towards animals. So in this line, I mean, it has covered everything: human interest also, animal interest also, moral duty also. So definitely I can say that it is going to be the part of the paragraph, and this is going to be the odd one out. तो जिन स्टूडेंट्स को उस टाइम पर इन दोनों में कंफ्यूजन था, तो आई थिंक कंफ्यूजन नहीं होना चाहिए, बिकॉज अगर आप कुछ भी इस चीज को एंड करते हो तो आपको ये देखना है कि पैसेज किसके बारे में बात कर रहा है, तो उसके अकॉर्डिंगली उसका कंफ्यूजन भी होना चाहिए. ओके, क्लियर? आई होप थिंग्स आर क्लियर, समझ में आ रहा होगा आपको. द लास्ट क्वेश्चन. Urbanites also have more and better options for getting around. Also, ubiquitous means something which is pervasive everywhere, which is universal. Easy to rent dockless bicycles are spreading. Battery powered scooters will be next. So is it negative or positive? This sentence is negative or positive? Let's see, because अभी बेसिक हमको ये देखना है कि पैसेज किसके बारे में बात कर रहा है, उसके अकॉर्डिंगली we can figure out whether it's negative or positive. When more people use buses or trains, the service usually improves because public transport agencies run more business and trains. So here we are talking about the improvement of the services of buses and trains. Okay, worsening services on public transport. So this is being actually positive. Worsening services on public transport, terrorist attacks in some urban metros, and a rise in fares have been blamed for this trend. Which trend are we talking about? Now you can see over here, it's also, this also means there must be some sentence preceding this one, okay? And this stands for some trend, but which trend are we talking about? So abhi tak after reading these three sentences, I think this trend abhi hum figure out nahi kar pa rahe hain. For that we have to read two more sentences. It seems more likely that public transport is being squeezed structurally as people's need to travel is diminishing as a result of smartphones, video conferencing, online shopping and so on. तो मतलब यहाँ पर भी हम किसकी बात कर रहे हैं कि कुछ ना कुछ डिक्लाइन हो रहा है, and the reasons have been given. The reasons are video conference, online shopping. ठीक है, इस वजह से कुछ ना कुछ प्रॉब्लम तो हो रहा है, बट वो प्रॉब्लम क्या है देख लेते हैं. पब्लिक ट्रांसपोर्ट का डिक्लिनेशन हो रहा है. There has been a puzzling decline, yes, in the use of urban public transport in many countries in the US, despite the growth in urban populations and rising employment. So after reading all the five sentences, yes, now I can say that the author is basically talking about some decline, and that too in the use of urban public transport. Okay, और उसकी रीजंस क्या है वो आपको बता रहा है. तो यहाँ पर तो उसने बोला है कि अर्बन पॉपुलेशन बढ़ रही है, उसके बाद भी इसका डेक्लिनेशन हो रहा है, डिक्लाइन पर जा रहा है. ओके, तो अब हमको ये देखना है, अगर वो डिक्लाइन पर जा रहा है, या तो ऑथर हमें सॉल्यूशन देगा या मे बी वो बोलेगा कि इसकी रीजंस क्या है. सो व्हेन आई रेड ऑल दी सेंटेंसेस, तो ऑब्वियसली आई कैन रिटेन दैट बेसिकली यहाँ पर ऑथर ने हमें बताए हैं रीजंस कि वो डिक्लाइन पर क्यों जा रहा है, और उसने डिक्लाइन के रीजंस कहाँ बताए हैं. तो ये तो हमारा हो गया फर्स्ट स्टेटमेंट. एंड बिकॉज हियर दिस ट्रेंड इज गिवन, तो दिस स्टैंड्स फॉर नियर बाय. सो आई एम प्रीटी श्योर दैट आफ्टर 5 इट इज गोइंग टू बी 3. तो ये तो श्योर है कि 5 के बाद 3 आ जाएगा, क्योंकि वो यहाँ पर बोल रहा है कि क्योंकि सर्विसेज हमारे यहाँ पर वर्स हो चुकी है, ट्रांसपोर्ट टेररिस्ट अटैक्स हो रहे हैं, फेयर्स में आई मीन फेयर्स उसके प्राइसेस बढ़ चुके हैं, फेयर्स बढ़ चुके हैं, तो इस वजह से यहाँ पर इनको हम ब्लेम कर रहे हैं इस ट्रेंड के लिए जो वहां पर डिक्लाइन हुआ है. ओके, तो दिस इज वन ऑफ द रीजंस. फिर उसने हमको सेकंड रीजन और कहाँ बता रखा है. It seems more likely that public transport is being squeezed as people's need to travel is diminishing. अब उनकी जो जरूरत है वो भी diminish हो रही है. Why? Because of the video conferencing. Okay, ऑनलाइन शॉपिंग की वजह से वो बाहर जाते नहीं है, तो ऑब्वियसली उस वजह से भी डिक्लाइन आ गया है. तो दिस इज ऑल्सो अनदर रीजन. ओके, सो बेसिकली द टोन ऑफ द पैराग्राफ इज व्हाट? इट्स नेगेटिव. ओके, अब आप इसको यहाँ पे कैसे देख सकते थे? If the tone of the paragraph is negative, तो मे बी यू हैव टू गो फॉर जस्ट वन पॉजिटिव सेंटेंस, माइट बी पॉसिबल कि ऑथर हमको वो दे चुका हो, या अगर नहीं भी हो रहा है तो हम थोड़ा सा उसको पेयरिंग कर लेते हैं, उसके अकॉर्डिंग देख लेते हैं. ओके, तो दिस वाज नेगेटिव रीजंस, दिस वाज नेगेटिव, दिस वाज आल्सो नेगेटिव. ओके, नाउ आउट ऑफ these two sentences वापस से आप देख सकते हैं, urbanites also have more and better options for getting around. ओके, Uber is ubiquitous, easy to rent doctors, bicycles. अच्छा, मतलब इतना सब कुछ हो रहा है, इस वजह से भी वहां पर हमारा पब्लिक ट्रांसपोर्ट का डिक्लाइन हो रहा है. ओके, अब आप when you are going to read the second sentence, when more people use buses or trains, the service usually improves. Okay, so here we are talking about what? Here we are talking about the improvement, but in the rest of the sentences we are talking about the decline of something. Okay, so four sentences are actually negative and they are giving us the reason of the decline in the public transport, but this is telling us the improvement, so which is going against the paragraph, and this is going to be the odd one out. So I think it was very easy to solve this question, yet again was very easy. तो आपको समझ में आ रहा है, if you keep practicing, so trust me, practice makes a man perfect. ये जो बहुत ज्यादा common sound करता है, but actually it has a meaning inside it. Okay, so if you keep practicing, trust me, you are going to solve all these questions, and that too in less time, provided the condition you should have a right approach and right mindset. Okay, do not give up and keep practicing, guys. Okay, so before calling off this session, I would want to communicate over here that we have been training CAT aspirants for the last 20 years, and now we have come online also. So if you want, you can visit our website, and if you have any doubt, you can always give us a call on this number. ठीक है, अगर आपको कुछ भी queries है, कुछ भी doubts है, तो आप हमेशा हमें comment कर सकते हैं. So thank you so much. I'm going to see you with some 3 more questions of verbal ability. Till then, thank you so much. Bye bye. Take care.